so it can be confirmed. To you, my Yah, do I lift up my soul. And trusting you, he always kept me whole. And left my enemies deep in their holes. Let none that wait on Yahweh be ashamed. But shame on those who sin without a cause. Show me your ways, please teach me your laws. Oh Elohim of my salvation, I'm staying down impatient as a child all the while I'm waiting. Remember not the sins of my youth. Lead me in your truth and he'll give your soul ease. The earth shall remain inherited by your seed. The secret of Yah's where who fears Elohim, or who believes everything. And to every word spoken, you can't take heed unless you hear somebody curse. You know you did the same thing. That's why I'm begging Yah for mercy and His love and kindness, cause I know that I ain't worthy.
The seven seas, captivity is taking hold upon me. From frighten me and now we flee from fallen leaves. The chronic grief from all the blood, how people sing. And now we cry, where is the word from Elohim? And so we physically all this wise to be submissive, but we dismiss it. It is of this reason we have fallen victim to the lies of your root. We're a prey in pursuit, rebellious of the Son, forgotten that He is one. Broken the holy ordinance, rejection of reproof. Then acknowledge what we do. Now we return back to the truth.
Yah's word is the truth. Yah's decrees is the proof. Local 12 just released the scoop. It's the summer of Sam. They calling it Pam. Made us worship the Son of Man. And somehow that the moon, they stole our style and gave it to Rothschild. Now we exalt the vow, but hit the turnstile. Yah's now be set to crooked things straight. Praise Yah from the rising to the evening to the closing the gate. Exposing the fake. Yah give the truth a daybreak. Now the liars can't escape and the haters can't relate to the light the truth makes. See the wicked pride deflate. You adore Yah, magnify Yah, cutting straight.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah's righteous, Yah's holy, and let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another day, bringing to you his great and exalted and holy words, even the words of Yah. My name is Mowreh IshYAH YIsraEL of the house of Israel, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, all we're going to do is tell you the truth, for Yah ordained me to tell you the truth, so this is what I'm going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king. He's our lawgiver. He's our judge. And he is our only savior, and not just of Israel, but Yah is the savior of the world. And I thank the Most High Yah for allowing us to come before you once again. This week we have been dealing with the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. And why? What is its significance? What is its purpose? And what is Yah revealing to us that we should know? Well, one of the first things that we wanted to do is to make sure you understood what the heaven, the earth, the sea was. What is the heaven, the earth, and the sea? And we went and showed you in the book of Genesis where Yahweh defined these things. He defined a heaven as a firmament that separate or divides the waters that's above the firmament and the waters below the firmament. And he called that firmament heaven. Even though the various religious bodies teach you, such as in Christianity, the only way you can get to heaven is that you die. And that you will die and then your spirit and you go to these pearly gates where you just living in heaven after death. And this is not the truth. We also find that in Islam, they don't call it heaven, they call it paradise. And instead of you going up, you go down. And as you go down in the ground, you go into paradise, where it is said the men, according to the Quran, that find themselves in paradise, they're guaranteed rivers flowing with wine, even though many of them tell you can't even drink today. You can't drink alcohol, and a lot of them don't. But you'll find a lot of the Muslims, they have stores in all the black communities selling alcohol. Not just alcohol, cigarettes, tobacco, weed, and everything else. And in this paradise, according to the Quran, you're not just guaranteed rivers flowing with wine, but also you're guaranteed some virgins. And they call big-eyed virgins reclining on couches in this paradise. And I always ask the imams, who are the teachers, spiritual leaders of Islam, well, what do the women get? Since the men get virgins and wine in paradise, What do the women get? And I still haven't got an answer to this date. And then in Judaism they teach that once you die, it's all over. And essentially you live through your children from one generation to the next. There is no everlasting life. There is no coming back. Your seed and your generations are just carried on. Which means, and which breeds an attitude that you got to live your life to the fullest today. And that's why you see those who practice Judaism, in particular the Jewish community, they hoard everything that's of value. So yes, they own all the many of the media outlets and radio outlets and many of the record companies, many of the artists, all the top attorneys, and also most of your known technology. Yes, they at the forefront of these things because they hoard anything of value and they just pass it on from one generation to the next. This is what a term, when somebody is trying to gyp you, they will say, well, man, you tried to Jew me. Because money means everything to them. As I stated before, once they go, they gone, according to Judaism. So their attitude is get what you can in this life, and then you just pass it on to your children. And none of these things are true in none of these religions. Furthermore, we brought to your attention that these various nations have confederated themselves together for one consent, for one aim, for one purpose, and that is to cut the name of Israel off from being a nation, that this name shall be remembered no more. Now, the only way that you can know these things is that you understand what your enemies are trying to do in the heaven, the earth, and the sea. These are the instruments that are being used to cut our name off and to bring us to everlasting destruction. And what is it that we showed you that they are doing? As the Creator lets us know, measuring the heaven above as well as the earth beneath, as well as the sea. When I was growing up, as a man named Jacques Cousteau, and he was at the forefront of going down into the waters, into the sea, and uncovering things unseen by mankind, showing you all kind of things in the sea. But little, and why everyone was in awe, little do people know that this was part of a project to destroy us. Yeah, to some of y'all, this might be some rumor. It might be a conspiracy. But to those who know the truth, this thing is written, it's recorded. It's in the book of truth. And while Jacques Cousteau was going down, then you had NASA, National Aerospace, searching out the heavens above, going up. And this is what the world bodies, the nations, came together with one consent for, to measure the heaven, the earth, and the sea, to destroy our people. And so, as a consequence, they were never, ever, and it was never, ever meant for them to tell you the truth concerning the heaven, the earth, or the sea. Not in the very definition of it and how these three things operate with one another. And so these are the things that we wanted to bring you. Well, and today we're going to bring out a few other things so you can know how not understanding these things, you participating and you're partaking in your own destruction. So let's start at the beginning again. Let us go to Genesis, the 2nd chapter. In the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, this is what it says. The very first verse. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the 7th day, sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his works which Elohim created and made. And then the 4th verse says this: these are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh made, Elohim made the earth and the heavens. This is the genealogy. This is the generation. This is how you know the heaven and the earth and the sea are all connected with one another. They connected because this is their generations. And how do we memorialize? How do we remember the very generations of the heaven and the earth? Matter of fact, how do you remember any generation? Hold your page here. I just want you to see this. And this is something that we should know. And watch what it says. In Genesis, the 5th chapter. In the book of Genesis, the 5th chapter, the 1st verse, it says, this is the book of the generation of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them, blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. So not only Yahweh will give us the generation of man, but Yahweh will give us the generations of the heavens and the earth. But why don't we know their generations? In order for you to know anybody's generations, you have to know when they are born. And we know when the heavens was born. We know when the earth was born. Therefore, we can know when everything in the heaven and everything in the earth was born. And now we can chart their generations. How many generations has it been since Yahweh did such a thing? And what generations are we in? And these things are very important to know. And Yahweh would have never told us about the generations of the heaven and the earth. And I may add, there is no other book. There is no other document. There is no other writing or story or religious text that can tell you about the generations of the heaven and earth. None. All the other writings are counterfeit. When Yahweh wanted the world to know the generations of the heaven and the earth, he didn't give this knowledge to a bunch of other nations. He gave this knowledge to Moses. And Moses put this knowledge in a book that we're reading today. So don't think you buying a book of Jasher and you can read these things and get the truth. Yes, the book of Jasher will tell you about all kind of stuff. And most of the stuff I read in that book is a total contradiction of the word of Yah. As a matter of fact, there's not one person in the book of Jasher that Yahweh has spoke to, period. Now, if you want to buy a counterfeit book, then you buy it. But I'm telling you, don't waste your money. Now, you can buy it because other people are caught up in it, and then you can show them where the lies are, and there's many. Likewise, the New Testament, likewise, the Quran, likewise, the Book of the Dead, likewise, the Book of Enoch, and the Jubilees. Now, in the Book of Jubilees, you have a lot of truth in this book. But once again, a whole bunch of lies also. But what do Yahweh want you to know about the generations of the heaven and the earth, as well as the sea? Let me show you a law in the book of Exodus, the 20th chapter. And this is why I'm emphasizing to you how important this knowledge is. And watch what it says. In the 8th verse, Exodus 20:8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, and nor the stranger that is within thy gates. Now, why do we do that, Yah? Well, he's going to tell you. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. This is how you remember the generations of the heaven and the earth and the sea. This is how you recall what Yahweh did in the heavens, the earth, and the sea by remembering the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And here it is. We have people that refuse to remember to keep the Sabbath day holy. And little do they know the reason you remember to keep the Sabbath day holy is because what Yahweh did in 6 days concerning the heaven, the earth, and the sea, and all that is therein is. Why you think in heaven they keep the Sabbath day? It says Yahweh himself kept the Sabbath day. Why? Because Yahweh wants them in heaven to reflect what he did in 6 days. Why do you think he commanded it to be done in the earth? A lot of people want you to be tricked and bamboozled to think it is only the Sabbath day only can be kept in a certain geographical location. Well, how can it be just kept in a certain geographical location when the reason why you even keeping the Sabbath day is because what Yahweh did in 6 days. And he didn't just do something in 6 days in a certain geographical location. Yahweh in 6 days made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. So even if we at sea, Yahweh wants the Sabbath day kept so we can remember what he did. If we in the earth, Yahweh wants this to be kept so we can remember what he did. And even if we in heaven, Yahweh wants us to remember. He wants these things to be memorialized for his work, for his goodness, because this is what he did. And it is a total abomination to not remember it. Why you think the scriptures say, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge? We don't even know the purpose of the Sabbath day. We have no clue that when our enemies would take the Sabbath from us, they was taking away from us our ability to memorialize Yahweh's creation. Also, in the book of Exodus 31, let us turn there. And this what it says. The 12th verse. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbath ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh that do sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. And why? Because you have decided not to remember what Yahweh did in 6 days. Even though he made you, you don't want to remember that, because you don't even want to do the very thing that will propel you to remember. And that's keep the Sabbath holy. 16th verse, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. And what is the sign? For in 6 days Yahweh made the heaven and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. Now, don't you see how important this is? Now don't you see how our enemies thought to change the various laws and the times? And you can't do that without affecting the very things that Yahweh himself have created and made. Today our people don't know time at all. Everything has become backwards. Just because we don't have the knowledge, the true knowledge, the good knowledge that would teach us the truth about Yahweh's heaven, as well as earth, as well as the sea. And it's because of your enemies. And Yahweh told us all over the scriptures, follow not the ways of the heathen. Watch what the Creator said in the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter. In the book of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, this is what the Creator said in the very first verse. Hear ye the word which Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus is Yah, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. Then it says, for the customs of these people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born. In other words, Yahweh didn't make that thing. You made it. Because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. And what is Yahweh letting us know? Well, he's letting us know how silly and ignorant the nations are who will do such a thing. They will make these gods out of trees and silver and gold. And this is supposed to be your God from heaven that will save you. And Yahweh saying, no, that's a lie. These are not gods at all. These are nothing that you should be concerned yourself with at all. They can't do good, neither is there in them to do evil. So everything about what they will tell you about the heaven, the earth, and the sea is evil. It's nothing good at all. It's all lies. Here it is. They will disconnect you from Yahweh's creation by taking away the Sabbath day. Many of our people, they don't keep the Sabbath day. You got some that teach that you only can keep the Sabbath day in the land. So therefore, they have no concern of Yahweh's creation, because they think the Sabbath day is some day you just keep in the land anyway. You don't keep that everywhere, when the reason you keep it is to remember everything that Yahweh had done in 6 days. Then you got other people that will tell you, no, forget the Sabbath day, you got to keep the first day, which is another total lie and abomination. And then you got another religion to tell you to keep it on the 6th day. But who's going to stand up as a witness for Yahweh and emphasize the significance of what Yahweh would do in 6 days? You can't even discuss it and talk about it until you're able to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. How are you going to talk about the heaven, the earth, and the sea, and you're not even keeping the commandment that gives you the authority to discuss the knowledge of it? Secondly, you would allow your enemies to trick you by changing the times and the laws. None of our enemies know true time at all. They don't know prophecy, nor do they know time. They all the various times that they will keep are counterfeit. These things are counterfeit. That they don't start in no evening, as your enemy will try to teach you. You got people telling other Israelites, come back to the evening, because the day starts from evening to evening. This is backwards. And the scriptures teach us that this is total backwards. Then you got other people keeping the day from midnight to midnight. Total backwards. And then the other ones got us following things in the night, such as the moon. But when it comes to a day, we seem not to have a clue. And that is the goal, the purpose, the aim of our enemies, to cut us off from being a nation. This is what Yahweh had to say about them in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs, the 1st chapter. So make that Proverbs the third chapter. And watch what it says. Proverbs 3:31. It says, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is an abomination to Yahweh, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked, but he blessed the habitation of the just. So this is what we have to know, that the wicked, Yahweh will have nothing to do with. Only the righteous. And the righteous are those who will memorialize, who will remember the great works, the great wonders of Yahweh's hands. And we remember it every day, and especially every week, on what you know of as the Sabbath day. But the wicked want you to forget so he can go about his business. But look what Yahweh said he would do in the book of Amos. Since people seem to want to know prophecy, well, let's read this prophecy. In the book of Amos, the 9th chapter. And this is what it says. I saw Yahweh standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escaped of them shall not be delivered. And watch what he says, because this is his judgment on earth. Though they dig into hell, in other words, though they dig, and we got them digging all the way down. A lot of people think the Arab countries, they was digging for oil. Most of them over in the Middle East, they rich with oil. They wasn't digging for no oil. They was digging for the most precious thing on the earth. And let me tell you the most precious thing on the earth. And it's not silver. And it's not gold. It's not copper. It's not onyx and silver and diamonds. The most precious thing on earth is water. That's the most precious thing on earth. Without water, there would be nothing. And so when they was out there in the deserts digging, they was looking for water. They just so happened to find oil. And as a consequence, now they can get all the water they want. But that's the most precious thing. But though they dig into hell, and what is hell? That's just the ground. That's the grave. Thence shall my hand take them. In other words, little do people know, a lot of these nations, they have what they call bunkers and places. So if a catastrophic event happens, they go underground. But Yahweh said you can go under there, and though you dig under there, I'm coming to get you, because you're not going to escape this. Watch what it says. Though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, a lot of our people don't even believe they going up to heaven. They ain't going up to no heaven. That's all a lie. That's it. Well, Yahweh a lie then. No, Yahweh is no lie at all. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, in other words, one of the top mountains, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, because The sea is where you can't see nothing. Dark. You don't know how deep it go. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And though they go into captivity before their enemies, because I know who you are, thence will I command the sword, and it shall slay them. In other words, there is no escaping Yahweh's judgment. And I will set my eyes upon them for evil and not for good. And Yahweh Elohim of hosts is he that toucheth the land, and it shall melt, and all that dwell therein shall mourn, and it shall rise up wholly like a flood, and shall be drowned as by the flood of Egypt. It is he, talking about Yahweh, that builded his stories in heaven. In other words, there's stories in heaven. And have founded his troop in the earth. And his troop is his army, is his host, is his servants. He that calleth for the waters of the sea, and poureth them out upon the face of the earth. Yahweh is his name. Are ye not as the children of Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Says Yahweh, have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker? Behold, the eyes of Yahweh Elohim are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Yaakov, says Yahweh. See, everybody got to go except for a remnant. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom, and of all the heathen which are called by my name, says Yahweh that doeth this. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed. And the mountains shall draw sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens, and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, says Yah, thy Elohim. So as you can see, this is what the Most High has prophesied to do. So there is no escaping from Yahweh's judgment. And don't think for a second that your enemy's been telling you the truth. Their stories are conspiracies. Yahweh's story is the truth. And yes, they going up to heaven. Somebody asked me about a scripture that's recorded in the book of Proverbs 30, and let us turn there so we can understand what this is saying. Proverbs 30. And this is what it says. In the book of Proverbs, the 30th chapter. So you can understand this thing, we're going to start at the very first verse. The words of Agur, the son of Yaqeh, even the prophecy, because that's what this is. The man spake unto Ithiel, even unto Ithiel of Ukal. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learn wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Because in order for you to know these things, you got to know this. But he said, I didn't have the knowledge of the holy. I didn't learn wisdom, and I don't have the understanding of a man. So he asks a question, the fourth verse. Who have ascended up into heaven or descended? Who have gathered the wind in his fist? Who have bound the waters in a garment? Who have established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? What is his son's name? If thou canst tell. And you can tell. And there's only one way to tell. And there's only one way to answer all these various questions that was just proposed. And the fifth and the sixth verse let you know. Every word of Elohim is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. And this is what we have been able to do with all these other counterfeit books. All those, not only the books, but all those who will put their trust in these books have been found liars. And here, this is the only book, the Holy Scriptures, that will teach you the truth about who ascended into heaven and descended. And not only will tell you that, but who even made the heaven, period. Who have gathered the wind in his fist. In other words, just grab the wind and it's no more. And who have bound the waters in the garments. And who established the ends of the earth. And that's all we've been talking about all week. The heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. What is his name? Well, his name is Yahweh. And what is his son's name? Israel. If thou can tell. And people ain't going to tell you that because most people don't know Yahweh's word. And if you don't know Yahweh's word, then how can you possibly know the knowledge of the holy? How can you possibly know wisdom? How can you possibly have the understanding of what a man needs to know Yahweh? These things are too much for the wicked and for the evil. His name is Yahweh. his son's name is Israel. How do we know his son's name is Israel? Because Yahweh said it in the book of Exodus, the 4th chapter. Look what Yahweh said about his son. In the book of Exodus, the 4th chapter, the 22nd verse, and this is what it says. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus is Yah, Israel is my son. Who is his son? Israel. Not Christ, not JC, or any other name that you want to substitute. Israel is my son. And not just his son, but even Israel is his firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. Israel is his son. And then you might ask, well, what is the Most High name? Well, go to the book of Psalm 68 and let us see. We hear all these funny, strange names. Well, if Yahweh gave you the knowledge of the holy, wisdom, and understanding of a man, then you would have been able to use those names that you say you're supposed to call Yahweh and show us the wonders of Yah. Show us the knowledge of Yah, the knowledge of the holy. But no, everything I hear from these guys are things that are counterfeit and contrary to Yahweh's word. Look what the Creator said in the book of Psalm 68. The 4th verse. Let's start at the 3rd verse. Let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before Elohim. Yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. Sing unto Elohim. Sing praises to his name. Do you understand that? When it says sing praises to his name, you don't just supposed to go walk around talking about all praises. All praises to who? All praises. All praises to what? All praises. What that mean, all praises? It says sing praises to his name. Extol him, which means exalt him, that rideth upon the heavens by his name Yah, and rejoice before him. What do you think the Hebrew word hallelujah mean? Hallelujah. That means praise Yah. You don't see no Hebrew word just saying all praises. No, it's hallelujah. Praise ye Yah. That's what you will see. And watch what it says. A father of the fatherless, a judge of the widows, is Elohim in his holy habitation. And watch what he say. Elohim setteth the solitary in families. This is where your peace is going to come from. It's going to come from the Most High. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwell in a dry land. This is his name. And this also It's his son's name. Furthermore, to show you the type of spirit, mind that Yahweh desire all those that will memorialize his creation want them to have. Watch what he says in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 58. See, you're not going to have this mind unless you understand this. This is why Yahweh said he's the Elohim. He's the father of the fatherless. He's the even the husband of the widow. Watch what the Creator says. The 5th verse, Isaiah 58 and 5. It says, let's start at the 3rd verse. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is it such a fast that I've chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast, an acceptable day to Yahweh? Is not this the fast that I've chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke. Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to the house? And when thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thy health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of Yahweh shall be thy reward. Then thou shalt call, and Yahweh shall answer. Thou shalt cry, and he shall say, Here I am. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, the putting forth of the finger, the speaking vanity, if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry, satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and the darkness be as the noonday. And Yahweh shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a water garden, and like a spring of water whose waters fail not. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in, if thou turn away thy foot from the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Shabbat a delight, holy to Yahweh, honorable, shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words. Then shalt thou delight thyself in Yah, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Yaakov thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it. So you can see the great blessings that Yah have purpose for those who memorialize his Shabbat. And when you do that, you're going to be the repairer of the breach. Why? Because you remember what Yahweh did in 6 days. Therefore, Yahweh will give you the knowledge, the strength, the health, and everything that you need for everyone else to know the very things you know about him. Because there is no greater knowledge you can have than that of the Most High. Watch what it says in the book of Jeremiah, the 9th chapter. In Jeremiah 9, this is what it says, the 23rd verse. Thus says Yah, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understand and know of me, that I am Yahweh, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, says Yahweh. This is what Yahweh delight in. This is what he wants you to know. So, once again, the Creator has given us the knowledge that made the crooked things straight. And we have to get out of our minds this debate concerning our enemies. They manufacture the debate. And it's based and manufactured off of lies, because they don't even know, nor do they have a clue, nor do they have the truth about the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. But they trying to survive. And their survival is not that they might do righteously. Their survival is not that they will serve Yahweh's people. Their survival that they have chosen, that they have elected, is to destroy and cut the name of Israel off from being a nation. That's their survival. And every day they working hard to do just that. Don't get caught up in the various kingdoms and what they're doing. Because everything they're doing is to destroy you and I. Creator lets us know in the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter. Let us turn there. And watch what it says. Isaiah 60. And this is what it says in the 12th verse. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. In other words, they're going to be destroyed. they'll be destroyed. So you're not going to have to worry about these people in the future. So you don't want to worry about them today. You let Yah be your fear. You let Yah be your dread. Because those you know today, they will be no more tomorrow. All the various ancient, all our ancient fathers, they all knew this great, or had this great knowledge when it comes of the holy. And to have the knowledge of the holy, you just can't have knowledge of one particular thing. You got to have knowledge of the heaven, the earth, as well as the sea. And you have to know how they connect to one another. And the Almighty opened up the heavens to our fathers, the righteous. Even though they were on earth. He also opened up the knowledge of the sea. Because he didn't want us to have this counterfeit, fake knowledge of the holy. And today, the various things our people saying about the heavens is born out of a movie like Star Trek and the Avengers and Lost in Space. Their knowledge is things like that come out of a movie, The Walking Dead. And in other words, all these movies is the imagination of men that see things that's not even in the book, not even in the scriptures. This is their imagination of how they see the world. And you notice, and you should notice, because I know you're watching these movies and these shows, where is Israel? Israel played no role at all when it comes to the end of the world. Nowhere at all. In other words, they're not even in the book of the imaginations of these men. And why? Because it is their heart's desire that Israel be written out of the picture. So why would they put Israel in? Matter of fact, the mass majority of these movies, and all you got to do is look at them, look and see how many black people it is. And then that should tell you a little bit about the storyline. And then the ones that even have people of color in these movies, it's still a movie that is void of these people, of this remnant called Israel. And why? Why are they trying to write Israel out? In the book of Genesis, just show you this. Like I said, our fathers, they had this knowledge. In the book of Genesis 28, let me just show you this. show you a couple of things. This is what our father Jacob said in Genesis 28. The 16th verse. And Jacob awake out of his sleep, because he was asleep. And he said, well, now let's start at the 10th verse so you can understand this whole thing. And Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took other stones of that place and put them for pillows, and lay down in the place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of Elohim ascending and descending on it. In other words, he's seen these angels just ascending and descending on this ladder. As we was reading in the book of Proverbs. And behold, Yahweh stood above it and said, I am Yah, the Elohim of Abraham, thy father, and the Elohim of Isaac. The land wherein thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. In other words, you're going to see what this land is. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth. And thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee, and in thy seed, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this place. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee. And Yaakov awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely Yahweh is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of Elohim. And this is the gate of heaven. And Yaakov rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for pillars and set it up for a pillar and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. And what do Bethel means? Bethel is the Hebrew word for the house of Elohim. But the name of that place, of that city, was called Luz at the first. So what is this letting us know? That the knowledge of the holy our people had. So they knew the very place, the very land that the Creator gave to our fathers. It was a gate right to heaven. Why you think the Creator told us if, and King Solomon said a prayer, that if we turn and face that place, what place is that? The place where Yah chose to place his name, that he will hear us from heaven and forgive our sins. Because this is the Creator's house. This is the gate in which one can get into the heavens, where the angels, or what the scriptures call Elohims, ascending and descending. Where the heathens going, they not going to no place where there's a gate where the Elohims are. The heathens just flying up in heaven in the sky and dark spaces, and that's nothing. But where the Elohims are, that's connected directly above our land. No wonder Yahweh said this is the place where he chose to place his name. No wonder Yahweh said there's only one tribe that he would put his name in. And what tribe is that? The tribe of Yehuda. And where are they located? Yes, right there in Jerusalem. The very place where our people will travel 3 times a year. Now do you see how the heavens, the earth, and the sea all connect with one another? And Yahweh only gave one form. And that form is called a circle. Not a rectangle, not a triangle, not flat, but a circle. And it's all connected with one another. Also, in the book of Isaiah, the 11th chapter, and one of the reasons why, in other words, a lot of people doubt the very thing Yahweh said he was going to do with his servants. And this is what Yahweh said he proposed to do in the future. And you'll read this in the book of Isaiah, the 11th chapter, the 6th verse, and watch what it says. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid. In other words, when you watch all these apocalyptic movies, all you see is destruction, starvation, cannibalism. You see the worst of the wicked. Them plotting against one another, them killing one another, them stealing from one another, them trying to take over one. In other words, they all looking for the same thing. But yet, because they so wicked, they can't coexist in trying to get that one thing. It's like today. The only reason Israel cannot come together, even though Yahweh say throughout all the scriptures, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation, not desired. Even though Yahweh say, one day we will become one nation on the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be to them all, and they all shall have one shepherd. But yet, the people who Yahweh have commanded to come together refuse to do so. And why? Because the very one thing they trying to get, the one Elohim, the one Father, the one land, the one place under the one law, one ordinance, one king, one shepherd. That very one thing, the people are too wicked to come together for that one thing. So every man to himself. And so what do you have? Chaos, confusion, and ultimately destruction. No wonder Yahweh say only a remnant shall be saved. Watch what it says in Yahweh's end. While all the various heathens and nations showing you destruction, look what Yahweh showing you. In the 6th verse, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid. The calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And don't you see the harmony and peace in this? The suckling child shall play on the hole of the ass. The weaned child shall put his hand on a cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day, there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. So, who do you think will usher in this peace? Who do you think will usher in this knowledge? Who do you think will usher in this glorious thing that we all should be seeking? Watch what the Creator says in the book of Isaiah, the 9th chapter. And this is what it says in the 6th verse. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. What government? It's going to tell you the government that will be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful. In other words, a miracle child. That's the word wonderful means miracle. Pele. Counselor. Esau. What is a counselor needed for? A counselor is one that's going to give you the truth. One that is wonderful is going to do wondrous things before your eyes. The mighty Elohim, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. In other words, Yahweh will have someone born to bring about the very things that we read in the scriptures. Yahweh is using the very man that he will give to rule the earth to bring about the things that he wants done in the earth. Nobody's going to bring in peace without the Prince of Peace. No one is going to bring in the truth about the everlasting Father and the mighty Elohim, but the one that Yahweh will establish his hand with. And we believe, and we want to tell people that Yahweh going to establish everything without him. So when he come, everything is going to be established. No, he is the instrument that Yahweh will use. Why do you think it said a child is born and a son shall be given? To do what? Yahweh's pleasure. And the last scripture is in the book of Zechariah. And this is what it says in the 12th verse. And I'm going to start reading at the 7th verse. Zechariah, the 12th chapter, the 7th verse. And it says this. Yahweh also shall save the tents of Yehudah first. Why? Because this is the tribe in which he put his name in. That the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Yehudah. And watch what the Creator say, though. In that day shall Yahweh defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. And if you know anything about this King David, you will know how fierce, how strong, how bold he was. And the most important thing about him is his fear towards his maker. And then it says, in the house of David, though. Not the house of Christ. Not the house of JC. Not the house of Muhammad. And the house of David shall be as Elohim, as the angel of Yahweh before them. In other words, now do you see how heaven and earth is connected? That there will be a house on earth that will be like angels. Angels that stand before Yahweh. And these angels that stand before Yahweh are the most mightiest. And here you will have a house on earth that'll be like angels, called the house of David. This is the knowledge of the heaven, the earth, and the sea, and all that is therein is. These are the essential things that Yahweh wants you to know. Now, there's other things that we will ultimately and eventually bring to you. But these are the things that Yahweh wants you to know. This is why he said, and I said this was the last scripture. Well, it is. But he wants you to know that heaven is not so far that he can't hear you. The waters is not so deep that he can't see you. The earth is not so wide where he will lose you. Yahweh is only, he wants one thing and one thing only. He said, if you seek him, you shall find him. If you seek him with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. And this is all you got to do. And we're the ones here, 1907 Vine Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, is teaching you each and every day to seek Yahweh. It's up to you. You can choose for yourself. So until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
To you, my Yah, do I lift up my soul. And trust in you, he always kept me whole. And left my enemies deep in their holes. Let none that wait on Yahweh be ashamed. Put shame on those who sin without a cause. Show me your ways, please teach me your laws. Oh Elohim of my salvation, I'm staying down and patient. As a child, all the while I'm waiting. Remember not the sins of my youth. Lead me in your truth, and he'll give your soul ease. The earth shall remain inherited by a seed. The secret of Yahweh who fears Elohim, a fool believes everything. And to every word spoken, you can't take heed unless you hear somebody curse. You know you did the same thing. That's why I'm begging Yah for mercy and His love and kindness, cause I know that I ain't worthy.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.